Well, hello everyone. My name is Daphne St. Clair, and I'm here with Zoe and Mercedes, and we are so excited. I am so excited to be talking about their show, Gringas. I'm going right after this interview to see it, and I am absolutely stoked. So, tell me a bit about your relationship to the show, what your role is in the show, and yeah, take it away.
Okay, should I grab this? Okay. Well, I am the playwright of Gringas, and I'm also performing in it. So I also play Javi in the piece, and we produced it together as part of Firstborn Theatre. So that's also a role we have.
Yeah.
And Zoe.
Hello, I'm Zoe. I'm the director of Gringas. I feel like that was the whole question.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what's your relationship to this show itself? Your personal connection to the show?
Should I go first?
You go first.
Okay. Well, this show is about like rediscovering your identity as a second generation Latin person, first generation, second generation Latin person who feels disconnected from the culture back home and is trying to reestablish community through language here in Canada. So it means a lot to me because that's my experience. Obviously, I wrote it, so I've like struggled with that for a long time, and being able to write this story and share this story with so many people, with the people in our cast and crew and with audiences, has been just so deeply meaningful to me. What about you, Zoe?
I guess similar experience. I was born in Argentina, but I only lived there for 2 years, so I always feel like I have to apologize. I'm like, God, let up this car. Let me let the car. Yeah. But yeah, similarly, like I'm just very shy with Spanish because this is very like language based, losing your culture. Yeah, and I think my struggle is very like just language based, and also yeah, Spanish is scary, but you just have to do it, and that's what the show's about.
So do you think I would be scared to hear Spanish then? If Spanish is so scary, what's that like? Should I be nervous going in to see it?
I mean, be a little nervous, like just for the joy and the excitement of the nerves. Don't be nervous. No, it's literally fine. You'll be good. It's not like it very much leans towards English because that's how these women are communicating with each other. They're communicating in English. They're teenagers, so they don't really like. There's a bit of resentment towards learning the language because there's rebellion to that. So it's very English leaning, but we do have some Spanish, and our last like monologue in the play is completely in Spanish, which has been like interesting to hear how audiences react to that. There's some people who like love that it's in Spanish and that they don't understand, or the people that do understand feel really seen, and there's people that hate that they don't understand the Spanish at the end. Yeah, I don't know. So be scared about that, I guess.
I love a divided audience.
Yes.
But it's good. It's good. Yeah, I literally forgot the question.
Yeah, I just talked for a while, so should we be
The
scared about
Spanish.
the Spanish?
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't because the characters are scared, so you'll feel like them. It's not like, oh, the whole play's in Spanish, scary.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
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 And you mentioned these teenagers feel a bit of resentment towards the Spanish. Do you find that they also feel an equal or different resentment towards English as well? What's that relationship towards English in this show?
I think there is more resentment towards the English, but I think the Spanish resentment comes from like insecurity. Like I'm bad at this, so I need to like not take in that I'm bad at this and just speak in English because that's the language that I talk in my day-to-day life. But I think there is a resentment to English because it's like all the characters in the show are like first and second generation immigrants, so it's kind of just like, fuck, I'm frustrated that I'm bad at Spanish, and it's because I have to live in English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like that Spanish kind of becomes this. It represents culture, and it represents like a side of themselves that they don't get to explore, whereas English represents, I don't know, so many things, but the fact that they are not a part of it, that like it's actually the English's fault, not the Spanish. Yeah. Anyway.
And also just like, I think English feels like a non-personal language because a lot of the things in the show, it's like, fuck, I love my family, but I can't fully understand them. because we're not like both like living in the same language, even if we
Yeah.
both understand them. Yep, that.
Wonderful. And I mean, I think that Canadian theater always or often leans towards English. So I think this is a really wonderful, wonderful concept and piece to bring to Canadian theater. And I'm curious, what is your interpretation of what Canadian theater is? What is Canadian theater to you?
Oh my god.
Scary.
That's such a scary question. Okay, fine, I'll take it.
And I knew you would ask this because you ask it in all your interviews, which I watched.
I'm sorry, I did not watch, so I'm unprepared, but that's okay. Canadian theater today. I feel like we're at such a pivotal point in our development of Canadian theater. Like, this is a crazy moment in history. For me, Canadian theater means something so different than it might mean for someone else. I see the future of Canadian theater as like very multicultural, very queer. There should be like a more adventurous and creative side to it, but I don't know if everyone feels that way. So it's kind of hard to like think about. I think there's a lot of power in being a Canadian theater creator, because I don't know if we've been completely solidified in who we are as an industry or as a community, despite what people might tell you. But that's like, I'm really looking forward to the like Canadian art in the future. I don't know what do you have to add, Zoe?
I don't know. I said I knew the question. That doesn't mean I thought of an answer. There's something magical about having like no money.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm American, and everyone's like, "Oh, there's so much money, blah, 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 whatever." But I think not having money means everyone has a lot of heart, because it's like not. I don't think anyone's like, "Let me produce this big, blah, 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 whatever." It's just like, I'm gonna suffer for months to do this. So I think there's a lot of love in everything everyone does. That I think you feel a lot in Fringe. Especially like interacting with a lot of people that like are our age and just like doing things, and I'm like, yeah, everyone's very passionate about what they do. At least in Fringe, that's Canadian theater / Fringe.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I like the whole idea of no money, but we've got passion. I think that's really great, and I think that's a common theme throughout all of the interviews has been there's no funding, there's no money, and we're just scraping by on these projects, which is kind of exciting, but also scary again. What would you say the heart of this piece is? You talk about love and community, and I'm curious your perspective on the heart and soul of this piece, the passion of this piece.
Oh,
Stumped.
I could cry. Talking about it. You go first.
I'm trying to think of like what like the heart.
The heart of a piece. Okay, wait.
Take your time.
Friendship.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe friendship. There's like a heartbeat of the piece that is in like the rhythm of it, like in the structure of the play. There's like a heartbeat to it. But that's not the heart of the piece. The heart of the piece is, okay, honestly, I think the heart of the piece is like everybody working on it. Like this very specific group of people working on this project are just like the most lovely, magical, kind, talented, smart group of people I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
It's so like magical to sit in a room with only Latin people, and I like get emotional all the time. When we were in rehearsal, I would get so emotional. That's the heart of the piece, is just working with amazing people who allow you to feel seen, and you will feel that as an audience member. I think you'll feel like you're being let into our little family, our little home. Yeah.
I would say even like our crew that isn't
Yeah.
Latin necessarily, I just feel like everybody was very passionate about working on this, because I always say this, but I've gotten emails sometimes when I've like done a call for something and they're like, I just need experience, and I'm like, why would that be the answer? I feel like everyone who applied for this and wanted to work on it was very like, I need to work on this, I love it. Same with like Cass and everyone, so I just like feel like you're right, that is the heart of the piece.
Yeah.
That's really wonderful. The heart of it being people. I think that's a really wonderful thing to come into and build community. Again, that being a big theme of all the interviews is community and togetherness. So I think that's really quite wonderful. And so, how do you think that this piece specifically pushes the boundary of what Canadian theatre is? We talked briefly about what it is, but what is it doing to push against it?
Oh, okay. We play with form a lot, so there's not like one specific style to the piece. It has a bunch of different styles. We have poetry, we have movement, we have chorus bits, we have like fast-paced dialogue, we have really like soft, earnest, realist moments. Excuse me, sir. So it pushes boundary in form. I think it also pushes boundaries in like theme. We deal with a lot of very challenging topics, and we do so with like love, care, and humor. So we talk about like we talk about colorism in Latin culture. We talk about class in Latin culture. We talk about colonialism in Latin culture. We talk about like religion and queerness in Latin culture. So like we touch on a lot of topics, and that pushes the boundaries, but the way that we do it also pushes the boundaries, because we're not doing it in a way that's like, this is what you should think. We're kind of just introducing the ideas and sharing what we understand about the world and allowing you to kind of come to your own conclusions or open up your mind to different ways of thinking without being like a preachy play. Yeah. So, and it's just so joyful, and I feel like that pushes the boundaries of Canadian theatre too, because I feel like for so long, at least during the pandemic and a little bit before, it was very like a heavy weighted industry, and now there's just like a lot of us are just making some really like funny, fun art. Yeah.
I don't know why my only answer is like it pushes the boundaries because there's a lot of people in the cast, and anytime we like show this show to anyone, they're like, no one wants to produce a big cast, so it's magical that we can have 7 people on stage. Yeah.
And not one of them is a man.
Yeah, that's freaking magical. Yeah. Yeah. Your answer was great. I don't know what else to add.
Yeah, sorry. I really slayed that answer. I feel really good about it.
Yeah. Yeah, but also on that topic, it's interesting to like you were saying, like discuss like oppression within an oppressed group, because a lot of shows that like deal with race or stuff is like in relationship to whiteness, so it's very like I'm this, white is bad, instead of like actually digging into why things are the way they are. And even just like I could be like, oh, I'm Latina, boohoo, but it's like there's also ways that I'm perpetrating these like stereotypes and systemic issues and stuff. So I think it's very nuanced.
Yeah.
And so in that nuance, what have you learned about yourself and or others through this process? It seems like there's a lot to learn about, either the way that you produce Canadian theatre, and even just like monetarily, that it's not a one-person solo show, it's 7 people, but then also talking about intersectionalities within your community. What have you learned?
Well, you go first. I have to think.
You have to think, I have to think.
We'll pause for thinking.
I've learned so much, so it's hard to like, I guess, okay. Take it away. I've learned so much, and it's all very personal, so it's hard to talk about here in front of the microphone, but here we go. Like, I've learned about all the ways that we're similar and all the ways we're different. Like, I know that sounds silly, but like, I think when people think about Latin people, Latin women in particular, they have a very specific idea about how we look. And I think I had that idea too about myself, to be honest. And I would get frustrated with that stereotype, and like, I don't know, working with these people, I realize like the ways that I'm hurting them with my own stereotypes towards myself and them, and like how I'm hurting myself. I feel like I just see the diversity in our community so much more, and the power and like the humanity in all of us a lot more. Yeah. I think it makes me emotional, but yeah. I don't know.
I would say I think just from like talking with the cast, even when we did a workshop back in like October, I just kind of understood more what it means to be like Latin in Canada.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in New Jersey, and the town I grew up in was like so Latin. Anytime I'd go back to the U.S., I go to like Florida or like New York, and I'm like, everybody's Latin. I had a very different relationship to like being Latin than I think most people in the cast, because it's like sparse in Canada. So I think it was really interesting hearing all the different like experiences, and also just like not just being Latina, but also like some people in our cast are white Latinas, some people are black, some people, you know what I mean? It's like a very different relationship to being Latin, that, and like a different relationship being Latin in Canada, that I think was really interesting to like hear all those perspectives as we worked on the show. My posture is so bad.
I know, me too. Hunched over. I had something to add and now I'm forgetting it. But I also learned so much about different countries, because like I was doing like a lot of research, and I'm like writing for a lot of different Latin countries. So like Colombia, like I'm Chilean, so I don't have that like experience. So I also had to do research on Chile, and like research what the kind of words that we use, and the language and the culture. So that's the thing too, is that every country in Latin America has a different relationship to their Latin identity. And so like I did a lot of research, and I talked a lot with like the cast and crew. We learned so much about our different countries and the politics of our different countries and how we all got here, because a lot of us came here through like war or as refugees, or our families did. So yeah, I got to learn a lot about South America as well, and like that was great too. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And how do you find, for you directing it, how do you bring in that educational aspect to the show? How do you help an actor in doing the research about South America? I mean, obviously you wrote it, so you had to put in a little more time for that, but what's your perspective on that?
Honestly, the good thing is I didn't struggle. Also, my makeup is melting into my eyes, so if I start crying, it's not because I'm emotional.
Don't think that.
But what was I saying? The good thing is, because all the characters have like bad Spanish, that was the one thing I was scared about, that I was like, the accents. Because I think about like, even when I've like other things I've done, like translated scripts or like played a character that isn't from Argentina, like that research, there was like not a lot of that, which was good, but it was more just like little things like, oh, this character's Mexican, it'd be cool to include this in the costume, or this character's this, that, it would be cool to include that. That's not a really specific answer, but I think what was nice is because I think the play feels very like Canadian. I don't think it's just like each character feels like from this country, because it is about like struggling with your culture.
Is there anything else you'd like to let our little camcorder audience know before we sign off today?
Don't be scared to go on the GO train to go to Hamilton. If you didn't catch us in Toronto, it's not bad. Yeah. It's really not bad. Get on the GO train. That's all.
Thank you. Gracias, Gringas. Gracias, Gringas. Gringas, gracias.
This is not the end for Gringas. So you can check them out at the Hamilton Fringe, and hopefully further on down the line, follow Firstborn Theater for more updates, I'm assuming, right? Yeah. Wonderful. So Firstborn Theater on Instagram for more updates on where this show goes. And thank you so much for tuning in. This is Daphne St. Clair signing off.